Hey everybody, it's Joe here from Style You by Joe. I'm in the kitchen today and I'm going to be making one of my favorite recipes. Now, very oddly, I've tried to make this twice before for you, and both times the camera shut off somewhere during filming. I didn't even know where, because I make this one by heart. So we'll see. Hopefully today I'll get through this and the camera will like what I've done. So it's out of the Food Network magazine, Great Easy Meals, and it is a tuna puttanesca. Puttanesca is a red sauce. I love this book because this book has it broken down by how many calories per serving, how many fats by serving, and back to keeping track of where I am. I will have you know that I haven't kept track since before Thanksgiving, and I'm only 5 pounds over where I like to be, so we're good there. But anyway, so this calls for kosher salt. It calls for 12 ounces of linguine, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 4 cloves of garlic. It calls for anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 a teaspoon of red pepper flake, 2 tablespoons of capers, a half cup of Katamala olives. It calls for 1 8-ounce can of San Marzano plum tomatoes, 4 basil leaves, and a 5-ounce can of albacore tuna packed in olive oil. And of course, you know I do what I want anyway. So we're going to start with the olive oil. 2 tablespoons equals 2 pours around there. Now, one of the places where I do what I want is I love anchovy fillets in here. So I put them in at the very beginning. And there's 1. There's 2. And I always pour a little bit of that oil in just to give it a little bit extra flavor. Ew, anchovies, I don't like anchovies. You don't taste anchovies. It's going to break down in the sauce. I have my crock pot on high, and I'm just going to stir it, and as I stir it, it breaks down in there. Again, this recipe actually calls to be made on a Dutch oven on top of the stove. I do it in crock pot because that way it can cook all day. It doesn't get any worse. So we're just going to let that break down and cook. One of the things it calls for a little bit later on is when you put in your plum tomatoes, that you put it in and crush them with your hand. I did that once. The tomato juice went all over the place. So how I stop that from happening is I get a dinner plate, I put the tomato right on there, and I just slice it into chunks, rough chunks. I hate this part of the tomato. It's where the stem was. I think it just is tougher. Throw that in there. We're going to take the tomatoes, scoop them off the plate into that bowl, and you want to reserve this juice because that will go in later. I do that, like I said, with the whole can. So let's come back over here. Give it another little stir. The anchovy fillets are almost all broken down. So now to that, we're going to add 4 cloves of garlic. Again, I have my garlic crusher. You can slice it thin, which is what the recipe calls for. But why do that when this is so much easier? So there's 2. Oops. Hot oil. There's 3. And there's 4. And I always use a knife to scrape this off to make sure I get all of that. Put that in. To that, we're also going to add the red pepper flake. I do just about 1/8, maybe a little bit over. Put that in. We want to give this a good stir so our garlic browns and gets nutty, marrying or matching the taste of the anchovies that, like I said, when they break down, just get nutty. And already I can smell the garlic cooking. I can smell that pepper flake. And I can smell a little bit of that anchovy, but again, you're not going to know it's anchovies, and your guests won't know it's anchovies. And they're the ones that you really have to worry about. You already know that it's anchovy. Alright, to that we're going to add the capers. Now the capers are the pickled bud of, I believe, the juniper tree. Don't quote me on that, but check it out. I think that's what it is. So we're going to add that in there. We're going to add our Guatemala olives into there. Again, just a real quick stir. Next, we're going to add our basil. Now, when I buy fresh herbs, if I can buy it as a plant, I always do. We're just going to pop off 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 fresh basil leaves. And I just tear them in. And I love it when you tear it because you get that basil-y licorice smell. It's wonderful. Let that stir. And here I'm kind of not worried about bruising the basil because A, it's going to cook down anyway, and B, I want that flavor to come out of there. I want it to marry with all the other ingredients. Now, when I buy my albacore tuna, I always make sure that it has the roasted garlic oil in it, because there's roasted garlic in here. Why not amp up that flavor profile? So I just take a fork and just start breaking it up. You want to make sure you get every bit out of there, because why waste when you don't have to? Give that a stir. Let that marry and heat up. I'm making it for me. I'm going to lick my own finger. It's okay. To that, we're going to add these tomatoes. Give that a stir. And I let that cook for just a little bit before I add the tomato juice back into there. But really, we're almost done. So I let this cook, like I said. This is supposed to be on the crock pot or on the Dutch oven. You can serve it as soon as you want to. I let this cook a little bit all day. When I'm ready, I'll make the linguine or the fettuccine. I don't use a spaghetti or an angel hair. I like a broader, fatter noodle so you can actually Slurp that up and get the sauce in with it. Pour the tomato juice in. A little bit of salt. A lot of bit of pepper. Again, if you don't like a lot of pepper, don't put a lot of pepper in. If I come over, I'll ask for some extra pepper for my dish. Put the lid in. I turn it down to low because I'm going to let it cook for a while. And we're done. Great sauce. You can start this in the morning, let it cook all day when you come home. You have running around to do. You can start it and let it cook all day. Again, cooking, as long as you are prepped ahead of time, is simple. You can do this, folks. If I can do this, you can do this. Stay stylish, and I'll talk to you soon.